Then you're speaking to the company secretary. The CEO is trying to join wherever he is.
Okay. Thank you very much. Delegation from Western Cape Department of Infrastructure.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, members. My name is Camilla August. I am present. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Delegation from City of Tshwane. Delegation from City of Tshwane.
Morning, Chair. Sorry about that. It's Petal Thring, Divisional Head Human Settlements Administration from the City of Tshwane. The group head will be joining us in a while.
Thank you very much. Let me welcome you all, honorable members. Let me welcome all our visitors. Today, we want to get progress with regard to the issues that we once discussed together.
Sorry, Chair, the DG is also here from the department.
Oh, DG, welcome. Thanks very much. You're welcome, DG, with your delegation. I also see the staff from the Minister and Deputy Minister's office. You are heartily welcome. Like I was saying, we are here to make sure that we receive progress, because the intention of the Portfolio Committee is to make sure that these issues are closed and we focus on other issues. So we hope there will be progress. And I will take it upon myself to meet with the MEC of Northwest, because today is the second time that he is submitting an apology, even on a virtual meeting. Maybe he doesn't understand the seriousness of the issues we are discussing. But I'll just give him a courtesy call to understand what are the issues, because this is his portfolio. And then once we understood, we'll then be able to move forward. Honorable members, we are expected to meet with the metros next week, Wednesday. It's a physical meeting here in Cape Town. We are meeting 4 metros on Wednesday. We were supposed to meet another 4 metros on Friday. But in terms of parliamentary program, it means the meeting of Friday may not happen. I requested this Portfolio Committee Secretary to look at the program and look at another date where we can meet the remaining 4 metros, possibly early April. We're also expected to get a detailed report on the outstanding matters. These are the matters that we gave to the minister when we met with her earlier this year. And we said, Minister, go and prepare. Obviously, the DG is aware of the issues. The DG will assist you. And I wanted that in that meeting, the delegation must be led by the minister. And the Portfolio Committee Secretary is working with the Office of the Minister and the DG to make sure that we get a suitable date where the minister will be available, even if it has to be on a Thursday. even if it has to be on a Thursday, if we are allowed, we continue with that meeting, because I really want the minister to be part of that reporting session. But honorable members will be briefed as we move on. The next item is item 5, briefing on the progress made on Ga-Rankuwa, Mabopane. Honorable members will remember that in our last meeting we said for better coordination, we will request the National Department to coordinate so that when we get reports, they are well coordinated. We know they may not be playing a major role, but they will coordinate. Therefore, we'll get a word from the National Department. Then as per the agenda, the city of Tshwane, the department, and the agency will hear a word from the department, then followed by City of Tshwane, then the Northwest Department, HOD, and then Northwest Housing Corporation, Mr. Mokhodiri, the CEO, the Department of Human Settlement will come back again, led by the DG, and we'll have deliberations on those matters. Then we'll then move to Western Cape. Hello?
We do also have MEC from Gauteng, Chairperson, Ms. Mutara.
Oh, MEC, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good morning to the members of the Portfolio Committee.
Thanks very much for attending. Unfortunately, I'm going to ambush you because you are the only political head here. I'm going to request you to make your introductory remarks, and then National Department of Human Settlement will make their remarks. Then Tshwane will come in, and then Northwest will come in. Northwest Housing Corporation will then follow, and then the DG of Human Settlements will then close on the matters. Then we'll then go to Western Cape. MEC, I think you have settled now.
Yes, thank you, Chair. May I proceed?
Please proceed, MEC.
Thank you, Chair. And once again, good morning to the Portfolio Committee and morning to colleagues from the city and the department and other entities who are on the call. Thank you, Chair. I think if when we presented the first time, we had indicated what our policy is and where we were, that there was an administrative error between ourselves and the city of Tshwane. That error, if I could call it that, has since been corrected, and we are looking at the possibilities of where we can accommodate the petitioners now. If you'll recall, Chair, the letter that the request that we received from the municipality initially was to the HOD, who doesn't, according to our policy, have authority to override or look at this in a discretionary manner. It had to come to the MEC. That communication we've since received from the city of Tshwane. As I indicate, we've identified where we could possibly locate the petitioners or allocate them. What is now outstanding is to be able to engage with the petitioners and get their agreement and cooperation in placing them in the houses that we have identified. But we do have the presentation and the team can take you through. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, MEC. DG, do you have some comments? I know you'll still come back at the end of everybody once everybody has presented, I just want to check whether you have some comments.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, and good morning to the honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, and greetings to the MEC in Tara, as well as all the colleagues on the platform, both in Parliament and within the executive. Minister, Chairperson, sorry, let me just indicate that we do have a departmental presentation on the coordination effort we have been having. We started a bit slow with moving out of the starting blocks. We have resolved most of the challenges, as you would hear from the reports being offered by the different stakeholders. We had also resolved some of the long-standing issues of powers of attorneys and all of that relative to the Northwest Housing Corporation. And I think we are making progress. What we do, however, need to re-emphasize even at the outset is that at the moment we are in, we do not have any other policy prescripts or anything to rely upon to resolve the issues as the petitioners would want government to respond. We are only able to respond within what the prescripts as they look like now are able to provide for. And we have even agreed on a dispensation that although they are not military veterans, will provide a special dispensation for them to be accommodated according to that in light of what they may have suffered. We also do not have any other indicative provisions and statutes to be able to compensate at the levels that the beneficiaries would want us to do so. And this is a matter that has been ongoing between us and the beneficiaries, and it's a matter that we know the petitioners petition Parliament to intercede on their behalf, but we too, government, wish to explain to the representatives of the people within the committee to say we are obligated to observe the laws as they are currently and the prescripts as they are, and therefore we would not be able to do anything untoward. And some of the demands of the petitioners are a bridge too far for us. And I think if we can share in that common message, it will help so that we are able to make a tremendous progress and bring the matters to a closure. But we are not able to bring to a closure despite the fact that we have what we have. And I think as the reports do come in, you would see, like in other instances, the money is available. We are ready to deliver, but we need to consult the beneficiaries, and the beneficiaries need to give us their thumbs up. And that has not been forthcoming, and it has largely frustrated the process. So in this regard, we will appeal that the members of Parliament, if they are convinced about what we are presenting and what we are saying, that they then provide adequate support and perhaps even counseling to the beneficiaries to accept the offerings and what government is able to deliver at this stage. I will then come later when we do our presentation, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Can we get a presentation from City of Tshwane? Let me check with the MEC. MEC Mutara, the presentation by Tshwane, is it also covering the Gauteng Department of Human Settlements? Or you are going to make your separate comments?
I believe we will make our separate comments, but they speak to the same process. So I think it's where we will take over from the City of Tshwane and our area of responsibility. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Then let's allow City of Tshwane to present, and then the MEC and the Department of Human Settlement Gauteng will come in immediately thereafter before we move to Northwest. City of Tshwane.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable MEC, Honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, DG and colleagues. My
Just show
name is
your
Nondo.
face. Just show your face. If you can just show your face and switch it off so that members can know who's speaking, if it's possible. Hello?
On, Chair. If I may please get confirmation if.
Okay. Yeah, we can see you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. As I was introducing myself, Chair, my name is Nondo Memela. I am the Group Head of Human Settlements in the City of Tshwane. Chair, I would firstly like to apologize on behalf of the MMC for Human Settlements, Alderman Aaron Maluleke. He is currently attending the mayoral committee on Wednesdays. The city has mayoral committee meetings. Chair, as I indicated, we, as the City of Tshwane, specifically at this point in time, we've been responding to the three members of the four petitioners on the basis that Mr. Khaswe is being addressed by Northwest as the site that they'd chosen was in the jurisdiction of the Northwest Province. I will then request, I think we've made quite significant progress as it relates to the case of Mrs. Lidingwane, to an extent that I think we reported the last time, unless it was still at the national department level, that we have even issued Mrs. Lidingwane with title deeds. The remaining step with Mrs. Lidingwane is the construction of the house, the top structure, which is where we then collaborate with the Gauteng Provincial Department of Human Settlements. And then on the other two matters, I will then, if the chairperson allows me, request the divisional head, Ms. Petal Thring, to then take over and give the details to the committee and the meeting. Thank you, Chairperson.
Honourable Chair, Honourable MEC, members of the Portfolio Committee, DG, DDGs and colleagues, good morning. It's Petitions from the City of Tshwane. The area that we're having some problems with is with the Siping sites. We reported last that we had written to the Northwest Housing Corporation in May.
Sorry, through you, Chair. Can everybody please just show the face before you speak, and then you can close the camera again? Thank you.
The video that I open. Chair, I'm not able to find the functionality for the camera. So sorry about that. I've started it, but it's not showing up, so I don't know what the problem is. My apologies. Hopefully it will come up sometime during the presentation. So if I can continue with the Siping issue, we had written to Northwest Housing Corporation in May last year to request them, because the two stands that they had allocated were actually zoned as public open space, and we couldn't effect a registration. We then wrote to Northwest to replace the allocated stands. Northwest then wrote to us in February, late February, so late last week, to advise that they've not been able to find suitable stands for Mrs. Siping, and were requesting the city to assist. We have just received the letter, and our group property department is looking for possible sites. Within the next week, we should be able to identify a few sites, and then the following week meet with Mrs. Siping to decide on which sites are available. We're also having problems because a lot of our townships are either not registered or we don't have available stands in the registered townships, but we are looking for them, and we are hopeful that by the end of next week we can have identified stands and then discuss with Siping on her preferences. Once that is, MEC has spoken to the issue of the subsidies, so I'm not going to go into that. The Maryland, we're still having a problem with that. We did meet with, so as we said last time, there's two pieces of land that need to be consolidated for the township to be registered, for us to be able to issue title deeds for Mr. Mere. Unfortunately, both these sites were in the name of the public works. They have already transferred one portion to to province, to DID in Gauteng. The other one, there are still some issues with that. We have, as we reported last time, written to DID to request assistance. We haven't been able to get that assistance. When we met with MEC in December, MEC advised that due to the challenges that DID faces, we should try and check with Mere again if he would like to settle for other land, given the challenges on this one. But we all know Mr. Mere's concerns around that, and he has been on various occasions approached about this. And so we'll have to stick with the land parcels that are there and continue on the process with DID in province to consolidate, to finalize the transfer from DPW, and then consolidate and establish the township, and establish and register the township. Yeah, I think from us, that's the three petitioners we're dealing with. And yeah, there are some challenges that we're hoping we can as soon as possible address. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks very much. MEC. MEC, Department of Human Settlement, Gauteng.
Thank you so much, Chair. Chair, if they could just flight our, I think Griselda will just respond with where we are as a department. Griselda is the Chief Director responsible for beneficiary management. She can take us through where we are and more or less the timeframes. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Griselda.
Thank you very much, MEC. Thank you very much, Chair. I'm not sure if we are flighting, but I will just speak to the presentation that we have submitted. From the department side, we have received the letters, as colleagues have already mentioned, and the MEC has already alluded to. What we are currently doing is conducting verification so that we are able to understand what needs to be overridden on the HSS system. Patel already spoke to the land concerns that they have and the challenges that they have. Once those are sorted, we will be able to override. We have already identified an active project that is currently in progress in Mabopane Extension 1. We will be appointing your contractor soon for that particular project. The understanding is that the provision that we would be in discussion with the petitioners once we would be able to meet them is to allocate them in stands that are the size of the military veteran specifications. So, Chair, that is where we stand as the province. Thank you.
Let me see, are you fine?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
All right. Can we have a Northwest HOD?
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Chair, and good morning, honorable members, MEC and my colleague, DG and my colleagues. My name is Komoto Mashopo from the Northwest Province, HOD. Honorable Chair, we have engaged since the last meeting, we engaged with Mr. Kaswe. The issue at the time was the municipality accepting the military vet design as a house that will be built in the area where Mr. Kaswe's land has been availed and allocated. We engaged Mr. Kaswe, and Mr. Kaswe was not happy. The municipality had finally agreed that we can build there. Mr. Kaswe then did not like and did not accept the military veteran house. Also because as a department, we had gone out of our way, we had engaged private sector and had raised additional funding to the military vet allocation, making it a total of 462, 312 plus 150. And when we engaged with Mr. Kaswe for a design that he would prefer, a design that would fall within that amount, Mr. Kaswe came with 8 different designs, the design that he likes. When we subjected the design to the QSs to quantify or to cost it, it came up to 849,600 and something rands, which is far above what we have. Mr. Kaswe then in December said he would rather have the money, the cash in hand, meaning the money that we were supposed to use for the military vet, plus what we have raised from private sector, the total 462, he wanted to have it as cash in hand. We then indicated to him that in terms of the grant framework, you are not allowed to just give a person cash. You have to translate that into a product that you then transfer to them. So there was that stalemate then as a result of him wanting cash from us. So maybe he can end up building the house that he wants, and us indicating that because this is a grant fund with conditions, and one of the conditions is that you can't just transfer it to a person. We were in that state, Chairperson, I even wrote to Mr. Kaswe. It's only last week, Friday, that he came back and he said he thinks this has been, it has been a long time. He's been waiting for the house for a very long time. He will be willing to compromise. We will have to meet and find a solution. That is from him. I then indicated to him that that is good news, but if he can reduce that to writing, because when we talk, he may say this, and then when we appear before the committee, he may be saying something different. So we are waiting for his commitment in writing. As soon as he sends us the commitment in writing, Chairperson, we will sit with him and find a solution within the prescripts of the grant. And we hope that he will then agree to a product that will fit within the available funds. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. CEO?
Chairperson, this is the company secretary. I was hoping the CEO would have joined us by now. It appears he's struggling. And last time we had this meeting, I didn't have local standing to report to the meeting, but if the chair allows, I can just indicate the progress that was registered by the Housing Corp.
Please continue.
The chairperson, chair. I'm
Hello.
sorry, I haven't. This is Ditabe speaking. I haven't raised my hand virtually. Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt you and the company secretary, but I think you will remember, Chair, that last year already there were red flags about the CEO's continued absence from these engagements. All other parties that we have had engagements with demonstrate willingness and respect towards these processes. But the CEO, who just happens to be the CEO of an entity of a provincial department, does not seem to accord this committee the respect due to it. It's not about you or me or members, but we sit here representing an institution. And I must say that it is totally, totally unacceptable, because now we have to make rules on the go, amend rules. The company secretary, who is junior to the CEO, has got to then assume that locus standi, which we must confer on him when the CEO is supposed to be here. I must say that it is totally unacceptable. This is a very complex, difficult matter, and he's not really bringing his side to this process. I must just register my disquiet and unhappiness about this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ditabe. I think we will take it up, the issue of the CEO. If it comes to a push, we'll take it up with the legal department and the Speaker's office. Of course, I agree with you. He can't continue. There are signs of undermining the committee. And if he does that, there are legal processes that we can follow. But I'm going to appeal that for this process, let's allow the company secretary to report progress, and then we'll deal with the issue of the CEO as a parallel process. But your concern is registered, and I think is our concern also. Maybe he doesn't know what he's dealing with. Thank you. Company secretary. Company secretary.
Please unmute.
Good morning, Chairperson, members of the committee, the MEC, the DG, HOD, and the colleagues. Chairperson, the progress that we want to register as far as the Housing Corporation is the fact that the power of attorneys have been signed for the townships that are registered under the Northwest Housing Corporation. That still needs to be proclaimed and registered as townships. And I also want to corroborate the reports that have been reported earlier by the City of Tshwane in respect of the petitioners, as well as the report by the HOD, and the fact that everything that was said it's not worth repeating. But there's a progress we have made thus far. Thank you so much.
Thank you. DG and your team. DG or delegated?
Sorry, I'm talking to myself, Chair. I forgot to unmute. My apologies. I'd wanted to request that a colleague of mine, Luwen Werner, to take the portfolio committee through the presentation and to basically this is a summary of all what has been raised by the different parties, save for the fact that we have done it in a written format and in a detailed manner, and to also give a clear indication on each what the challenge is, what was the progress update on the 28th of November, and what is the current status so that the committee can track with ease where there has been an indication and whether there has been an improvement or lack thereof, but also to indicate that where we would require the support of the committee in helping us get those type of things done. For instance, I think the Northwest has been a bit detailed about the issue of Mr. Khaswe, and also to indicate that relative to the issue of Mr. Mere, as Tshwane had indicated, it will have aided the course and the process if he had accepted alternative land, and we would have been able to move speedily towards construction. But without that, and also the clarity around the ex gratia payments that were being demanded, and the work that the Northwest Housing Corporation needed to also do. So with your indulgence, Chair, I request that my colleague Luan take us through the presentation, at the risk that a lot will be repetition.
When?
Morning, Chairperson. Good morning, honorable members of the Portfolio Committee on Human Settlement. Good morning, MEC, DG, HOD, and colleagues present on the call.
Just show your face a bit. Just show your face a bit, and then we continue.
I put it on, Chair. I can see myself on screen. I don't know if there's a reason you can't see me. Maybe on the side.
Oh, yes, yes, I can see you.
Yes.
All right. Okay, I can see you. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. Felisa, if we can go straight to where the table starts, I think it's about 3 slides on. You can move straight to, yeah, there. Chairperson, as the City of Tshwane has reported, in November, the corporation was going to identify a new heir for Ms. Sepeng. I think the difficulty here, Chair, is in pursuit of a bigger site than the standard residential sites available in the Mabopane, Ga-Rankuwa, Winterveld areas. And therefore, when bigger sites are then identified, it turns out to be recreation and public open space, which then requires rezoning. Sometimes these public open spaces are in wetlands, and so it's not possible to then build a property there, waterlogged areas. So there's the difficulty in finding an heir for Mr. It has to do with the size, and as the corporation has then reported, subsequent to November, they've identified 3 alternative sites. And it turned out when they checked the status of the sites, then one was in Ga-Rankuwa Zone 4, and then, yeah. But then it turns out, Chairperson, that when they check the zoning of the site, it then becomes clear that it's a park area that can't be used for residential purposes. So between the city and the corporation, the corporation has subsequently requested the city, and the city has given a report in that regard in identifying an alternative area. It will just be so much easier if it's a residential area and suitable to the needs of Mr. Peng. Then around the issue of the approval for the subsidy, Chairperson, here there were requests sent, but as MEC has indicated, the overriding of the qualifying criteria, because all of these beneficiaries have had property in their name, and in the conventional way of applying for an RDP a subsidy house, they would have been declined because they've had property registered in their names before. That is one of the key qualifying criteria. So this would have meant that we would have to override the qualifying criteria. And that is what this discussion in the group is agreed upon. But it is, because it has to do with a policy matter, it is something that lies within the purview of the political head in the province. And so the letter was then misdirected at the administration, and who was not authorized to make such a decision. But the city and the provinces have reported on this one. And so that is the crux of what needs to happen now. We can move to the next one, next slide. Ms. Ledingwani, Chair, you'll recall that in November, when we met, Ms. Ledingwani had requested for a counseling. We then, through our department's wellness unit, obtained the necessary approvals to obtain counseling for Ms. Ledingwani, and the officials report that throughout December, they have tried, and early in January, to get hold of her telephonically, and they were unable to reach her. I have also tried last week to get hold of Ms. Ledingwani, and I was not able to reach her as well. I've sent her a text message, but she has also not responded to me. So all of the arrangements have been made for her to receive this counseling. It's just that we needed to get hold of her to arrange a suitable time. We will continue trying in that regard. With regards to Ms. Ledingwani, she already has the title deed as reported by the city, but she also needs to be included in the approval that waives the subsidy criteria of being a non-qualifier, as it were. And then city and the Gauteng province has both reported on that matter. It's receiving the attention. We can now go to the next slide, Chairperson. I think the HOD of Northwest Human Settlements has gone into a lot of detail about what the issue is around Mr. Gaseche, and I don't want to venture into another repetitive explanation, but basically Mr. Gase wants his own house plan. It costs more than what the subsidy provides for, what the HOD was able to raise as additional, and then he wanted the subsidy and the fundraising amounts to be paid to him, which of course our rules do not allow, as articulated by the HOD. And so that is where we are with Mr. Gase. And now the department is engaging him to reach a conclusion on this matter, and now await the written confirmation of a willingness to compromise and what that compromise then entails. We can move to the next one. I think that is so, Mr. Gase. Yeah, then you can skip this one also and go to Mr. Mere. Chairperson, the department's role in Mr. Mere's case is that Mr. Mere's township formalization forms part of the broader Mawiga project that the department is working on. And here what we've reported is that we're in the process of procuring a service provider to undertake township formalization or establishment on the unproclaimed portions. In this case, it is Ga-Rankuwa Zone 2, where Mr. Mere would want an earth. The city has explained the difficulty. Firstly, getting the power of attorney's chair, and I must here just put on the record that although the power of attorney from the Northwest Housing Corporation had come through, they are scanned documents, and if you want to lodge, you need originals. The city has requested the originals. It's also something that we are going to need if we undertake that piece of work, and so we will work with the corporation to send us the original documents as soon as possible. But we have had a bit of delays in the advertisement and the appointment of a service provider chairperson internally. The department had picked a procurement strategy of a panel of pre-approved and pre-evaluated service providers to whom we would have issued RFQs. The committees have set, and that's why in November we were confident that this is something that we could get started on in February. Then the committees have set, and at the point of issuing these RFQs to the pre-approved panel selection, our legal services raised a technicality with regards to the validity of the contract of the PRPs. Those contracts are lapsing in April, and the work that we are planning to undertake is would then fall without the scope of this contract. And we sought advice from National Treasury, who took quite some time in coming back to us and then confirming to us that actually we need to change the procurement method and go out on an open tender. Now, Chair, the administration that comes with switching the methodology of procurement did take some time on the department side, but we are confident that by the end of this month, we could make it to a budget adjudication committee and then advertise. So that is what the delay we've had on our side. It had to do with our procurement, and then the city has also reported the difficulty that they're having with regards to one of the portions that they've escalated to Gauteng, or been advised by the MEC to escalate to Gauteng Infrastructure Department. Thank you, Chair. I think that's our submission. Thank you, TG.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, let's deal with this report before we go to Western Cape. Let's deal with Gauteng and Northwest. Honorable Abba, followed by Honorable Ditebe. I only see Honorable Ketamabala, Honorable Stole. I only see these three hands. Honorable Abada, please continue.
Good morning, Chair. Must I also show my face?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you see me?
I see a beautiful face. I don't know whether it's you.
Thank you, Chair. Okay. Hi, everybody.
Continue.
Okay, good morning to Chair, my fellow honorable members, and all the entities that are there here today. Thank you for the presentation, the comments, and everything that we've received. You know, I just firstly, I know that you know, getting hold of the petitioners seem to be a problem. So my question here is: have we exhausted all avenues? For instance, are we just making phone calls? Are we sending SMSs, emails? Don't we have an address to maybe send a letter? You know, for me, I look at this and I say, are they not just tired of us, of our empty promises? And they probably see what we tell them as lies. And I'm trying to look at it from their point. This has been going on for so many years. And it's just every time there's, and I understand that we've got protocols to follow and procedures to follow, but look at it from their point. They've been ripped of every possible dignity that they've ever had. And all they want is their homes. And I think it's only fair. I mean, even with us, when we want something, we want that particular thing, be it our homes, our cars, clothing we wear, food that we eat. So all they're asking is for a home, and that home provides dignity for them. And I've said this so many times, you know, with a home, for some reason that brings dignity to every one of us. You know, even you know, when you rent a home, it's not the same as owning a home. When you own a home, it's a different feeling, a different everything just makes so much more light, and having that home gives you the energy and everything else to go forward and do what needs to be done, and you just feel that you can do whatever it is. So I just, you know, from their point, I think we need to look at it and understand where they're coming from. And I just feel that they now think that we've got empty promises, or that we're just giving them empty promises. With regards to so that's the one question. Have we exhausted every avenue, you know, in terms of getting a hold of them? And then why is the implementation of previous investigation findings, the 2014 COT and 2018 Public Protector, not being enforced? Despite 2 official investigations, no remedial actions have been followed. What mechanisms are in place to hold accountable those responsible for failing to act on these reports? And here again, you know, we always coming up with all of these, and I'm going to say excuses, because from a petitioner's point, again, it's just an excuse. There's no accountability. Nobody's taking responsibility for not following through. It's not a few months or a year or two. This is many years we're looking at here. And so what alternative solutions exist for petitioners like Mr. Sriu, whose housing needs exceed budget allocations? And again, like I said, he wants what he wants. And, you know, he's been waiting for so many years. Had he had the house all those years ago, he probably would have been able to have done the extensions and made his house the way he wants it now. But he hasn't had it, and he's now old. How does he get to where he wants to be at this age and waiting for so many years? So since he has proposed his own design, could a co-fund, I know that we've come together with amounts and all of those things, but let's, you know, try and do something and give this man some dignity, please. And then my third question is, how does the government plan to fast-track township formalization and land transfers, considering the ongoing legal disputes? The court case between COT and NWHC is delaying progress. Is mediation an option to settle land compensation and expedite the township establishment? I don't know, you know. I've got a few comments and recommendations, but I don't want to take up too much of time. I'll forward them to Kuliswa, and we can take it from there. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Detabe.
Chairperson, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I don't know. Let me see if you can have a full view of my face. I'm joining this meeting using my handset. I don't know if you can see me.
Yeah, we can see some youthful face. We don't know whether it's you.
The DG will say I'm handsome, but anyway, that's fine.
Chair's full of jokes this morning, no?
Please continue.
Okay, Chairperson, thank you very much. And once again, greetings to you, Chair, to the MEC, to from Gauteng, to the HOD from the Northwest and City of Tshwane, all other officials, colleagues on the platform. Chairperson, I'd like to start off and you know, by making the following comments. And if I embarrass you, Chairperson, please forgive me. But I am going to say the following. Chairperson, I'd like to really thank you. Thank you most heartily for your leadership. You have demonstrated empathy. You've demonstrated magnanimity. You've demonstrated humaneness as our leader, as chairperson of the Portfolio Committee. You've displayed the best of human values, Ubuntu, thereby giving expression to what underlies that, namely, I am because you are, since you are, therefore I am. This process has been reciprocal. We have subjected the City of Tshwane, the Northwest Housing Development Corporation, whatever it's called. We have subjected our own department, not least the DG, everybody else to the strictest possible scrutiny. We have looked at this whole issue of the petitioners with an open mind. We've looked at it not with some predetermined view or perspective. We have sought our truth from facts. While at the beginning, in particular when we were in Pretoria, it was an emotional roller coaster. The pain in that boardroom was palpable. Everybody could feel it. But because of what I said at the beginning about how you displayed leadership, as far as this particular matter is concerned, based on the reports that we have received from Gauteng, from the City of Tshwane, from the Northwest, from the department, it is quite obvious that there is a milestone, if not milestones, that have been recorded. Why am I saying that, Chair? When we were in Tshwane, at the HQ of our department, there were some uncertainties. There still were some legal issues that had to be dealt with. But months after that, Chair, it is quite obvious that the report that each party on the same subject of the petitioners has given to this committee, there are elements which coincide with what each party, and I'm referring to the Northwest Housing Corporation, the Department itself of Human Settlements in the Northwest, the City of Tshwane, the Gauteng Human Settlements Department. There are clear coincidences, confirmations that point to the fact that there is progress that has been registered in this regard. And I'd like, therefore, Chairperson, before I get to my main issue here, to perhaps say to Honorable Abada, yes, indeed, it is not wrong to harbor that magnanimity, that empathy. But equally important is the fact that we as public representatives must be mindful of the fact that if the Department of Human Settlements in this regard, or the Northwest Department of Human Settlements, or the Gauteng one, or the City of Tshwane, etc., insofar as human settlement goes, if they veer off the tram lines of policy, we will be the first one to hold them before the Portfolio Committee and invoke all other legal and constitutional powers that we have to hold them accountable broadly within the accountability ecosystem, as the AGSA calls it. So it is important, therefore, that we, in demonstrating that empathy, and I'm not saying we shouldn't, I'm among those people that clearly sided with them as far as their lot, their pain, their anguish. And so did you, Honorable Abada, and everybody else, being led ably so by our chair. But I'm saying we cannot be seen to be making rules on the go. If we have said this is the quantum, and the quantum in this particular matter, which demands that it be a sui generis matter, a matter of its own kind, we have to see what room there is for flexibility without breaking the rules, the law. And that's exactly what the entities, the parties that have reported on this matter have done so far. there are limitations. They cannot act arbitrarily. So it is important, therefore, that we also ask them to bring their side, their weight to bear on the process so that there is conclusion. I am heartened, Chairperson, by the report that the 462,000 or so, which, by the way, is no ordinary amount of money. The HOD Northwest has gone out of her way to become quite innovative, creative in answering something that truly pains a human person who has been through this ordeal for so many, many years. And there is light at the end of the tunnel. And it's not a sign of an oncoming train. It's a sign of a solution finally appearing on the horizon. And I'm therefore saying, Chairperson, that we should be the first ones to protect the department and all other entities. By all means, if we want to change policy, let us do so. But let's not have policy designed, and all this is subjected to the processes of the national legislature, and then we expect our own entities, functionaries within departments to then change that policy to suit a particular situation. And I want to commend the HOD, the department, the City of Tshwane, the Gauteng Department of Human Settlements, for having brought their heads together to do a deep dive on this particular matter. So as far as that is concerned, I am quite happy. Let's also remember the 462,000 rand we are told about. And I don't think that Ms. Mahlobo could be sitting here telling us an untruth. And it is quite obvious that she's collaborated with our own department. And the 800,000 that the gentleman wants. Let's remember, Chairperson, you may buy, let's just take a BNG unit. You may have that BNG unit for, let's say, 180,000 rand. 10 years down the line, that BNG unit is likely to be something in the range of 500,000, etc., because it appreciates in value. And that's exactly what will happen with a unit that costs 462,000 rand. So a lot has really been done to try and accommodate the petitioner in question because of peculiar circumstances facing the petitioner. So, Chairperson, I'd like to say that we should therefore, as the DG has asked the committee to do under your able leadership, let us engage the petitioner who's been offered that property of 462K to then accept it and put it in writing, because again, it would be against the rules, the law, to then hand him that cash. What if, and I'm just, making an example here, what if the petitioner, let's say the law allowed it, which it doesn't, were to be handed that 462K, almost 500,000 rand, and they did not go on to build that house. 5-10 years later, the narrative would still remain that, the department, Northwest Housing Corporation, etc., were supposed to build me a house. They did not. People would have forgotten that he would have been handed that 462,000 rand. Besides, anyway, we must operate within the remit, the tram lines of policy and the law. So, Chair, the last one is that, as the DG said, in respect of the other petitioners, and I do understand that the process would have been much quicker had it been that there was flexibility allowed by the petitioner to have land secured elsewhere. We do understand there's a lot of attachment to this emotionally, psychologically, etc., spiritually by the petitioners. And everything has been done based at least on evidence. We must, Chairperson, when we make decisions, be data-driven, be evidence-driven, and be solution-oriented. And I'm quite certain that based on the report that we have received today, the Department in Gauteng of Human Settlements, City of Tshwane, Northwest Department of Human Settlements, the corporation, our own national department, have, as far as possible, demonstrated those two elements. They were evidence-driven and they were solution-oriented, and that's what we need. Obviously, the cathartic process of healing people as a result of what happened and so forth will have to be engaged. Lastly, Chairperson, when we engaged with the petitioners in Tshwane, it became quite clear that the evil hand of the apartheid regime in respect of the other petitioner, I think it's Mr. Mire or Mr. Khasu, I can't remember, whose father had a site and somebody from Switzerland came and, you know, there was connivance between that white person and the then Bophuthatswana regime officials. And that's how the land was taken from his father, who had built a college and taught people typing skills, etc. So I just want to say, and I'm preaching here largely to the converted, when we say there will always be that stubborn legacy of race, class, and gender, this is what we mean. And we will not tire to talk about the stubborn, evil legacy of apartheid colonialism. On that note, Chairperson, I'd like to ask that we engage the petitioners, but it does look like, is it Mr. Mire or Mr. Khasu, sorry, I'm mixing the two, has got to put that in writing to the department so that we have one milestone registered. And I think it'll have a knock-on effect on the other petitioners, so that once again, based on the merits and demerits of their cases, we can help them and put this behind us. And once again, thank you, Chairperson, to your sterling leadership on this matter. Thank you. Sorry to be long-winded, but I had to do this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dutewe. Honorable Stole.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I don't know, to see me.
I only see spectacles.
I see only you, yeah. So I still don't know. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I'm trying to open this, to open my face.
Now we see you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Greetings to you and honorable members and the officials and the MECs and the HODs. Honorable Chairperson, sometimes because I joined the committee late, that we do have. But I was trying to check, Honorable Chairperson, if that one you can collect, if that one was done. Because according to the report that I read, it shows that there was some investigation. The first investigation was done by City of Tshwane, and the other one was done by Public Protector. So now I'm trying to check, where are those reports? What happened after they submitted the report? And then, because this matter, Honorable Chairperson, it seems that it shows that it was actually started, it was dragged for more than 16 years now. So now I'm trying to check, Honorable Chairperson, what happened on a case open by Tshwane, and how far with the investigation by the SIU, and where are the officials involved? Is any consequence management that have been taken by department, or either Northwest or Gauteng, for those officials who was involved in this thing? And the other one, Honorable Chairperson, is the issue of the issue of let me see, Honorable Chairperson.
I know it's old age. You've missed it.
Because Honorable Chairperson, there was the design cost was 849,639.45, which was not actually adhered to. So now I'm trying to check. Above all, what have happened? What consequence management have been taken by the department to those officials who were involved here? And then I'm trying to check the facilitator or mediations between the petitioners and the Department of Gauteng and the Department of West. Is any negotiation that have been occurred between this department and the petitioners? Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Khakile.
Thank you, Chair. Ha ke kgone go bula gate ke eng selo se? Nna ke bone ya camera. Let me greet you, Chair, and all the honorable members and the officials from the departments, as well as the MEC and the secretary from the entity. And let me also acknowledge and appreciate the feedback presented. I'm almost covered by Breede, especially when it comes to the progress made since our meetings with the petitioners and the departments and the entities. And I also appreciate what the Northwest is really trying to do with the feedback made, and let them just keep it up. And we hope that the matter will be finalized as soon as they get the report or the written request. And then for the Gauteng, I also appreciate the efforts as well as what the National Department of Human Settlements is doing with regard to the issue of these petitioners. Let them just keep up. And then with the new deadlines of Gauteng, with the next week and whatever, let it be so, not just a talk. We want to see things happening. We want to see this matter being closed as soon as possible. And lastly, Chair, with regard to the lady who is unreachable, I propose that they try one of the petitioners to try to get a hold of that person, because she requested that counseling in our presence. So if they cannot get hold of her, maybe she lost the cell phone, she has changed the cell numbers, but one of the petitioners is able, I'm sure one of them is able to get a hold of her. If they can just try to improve on how to reach out to that lady, that woman for counseling. That is all that I wanted to say, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There's a refresher course in Parliament. Honorable Khakile. After this meeting, please join. On IT, Honorable Pooh.
Good morning, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everybody. Morning, members. Chair, I'm really not normally agree with my member, Selo de Tabe, but today I agree with him. There's no way. I want to say thank you for the officials for trying to settle such a complex issue. Officials that were set up with guidelines regulating them and a criteria regulating him, and they are bound to adhere to it, but still they're trying. They definitely not the responsible persons to approve exceeding quantums budgets and surely not allowed to deviate from set guidelines. And then it's a question is who is the rightful person to do that? But again, doing such a thing will cause a precedent that will allow anyone else to do the same. And yes, I want to agree with him that Ms. Komotso of Northwest, she done an excellent job. And I hope she get that letter in writing and find a solution for that problem. And I'm really worried. We cannot seem or become a committee of human settlements promoting and try to persuade officials to deviate from things they can't. And I don't assume my chair and all our members is likely to support it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I'll start with City of Tshwane. If there are issues directed to you that you want to respond to, please indicate and continue.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable members as well for the questions. Again, this is Nondo Memela, Group Head Human Settlements in the City. My colleagues will also fill in where I could have missed some of the detail or questions. Chair, and rightfully so, the committee has been posing questions to us as the city on the steps that have been taken by the city in implementing the findings and the recommendations of the forensic investigation that was conducted by the city following these fraudulent activities having come to the fore at the time that they did, 2014, 2013, 14, 15. We've done our best, Chair, to provide the forensic report and some of the information that we have at our disposal to advise the family, the committee on the extent to which the city made efforts to implement the findings. Firstly, there were officials from both the city as well as the Northwest Housing Corporation, which were implicated by the findings of the forensic report. Post that, the city then appointed, it's a pity, Chair, I've had to join through the phone because I would have flagged this document on my laptop just to share because it's just a one-pager. At that point, after the forensic report was issued, the city then appointed lawyers or legal advisor within its structures to prosecute the case. And the opinion that they gave to the city at the time in 2015 was that, I'm just going to read a sentence, Chair, if you allow me, without taking too much time. Indicating that these were the officials that were implicated in the transfer or fraudulent transfer of the 5 properties. There's 5 properties that are listed here. There's one from Mabopane. And his opinion was that, reading verbatim, my mandate was to highlight any misconduct by the City of Tshwane employees during the transferring of these properties. I have found that in all the cases, no City of Tshwane employees was implicated in any of the 5 matters, except for the transfer of ERF 2243 Unit 8 Ga-Rankuwa, in which an official of the city has had the property transferred into his own name. However, no misconduct exists on his part as he has bought the property from the rightful owners and did this in his private capacity and not as an official of the city. In the report, the investigators have found that the City of Tshwane was a victim of fraud from outsiders, but not from its own employees. Following this opinion, Chairperson, then the city took the matter to SIUs for further investigation and possible prosecution. And we have in the past provided the committee with the details of the case number and the person who was investigating the matter. And the latest that we received late last year, the matter is being followed through by the Office of the City Manager, was that, and it's some of the information that we are aware because we've been following up, is that the officials who the officials who were part of the city at the time and involved in this matter, whom the SIU need to engage in terms of the investigation, both have since passed on. And just to say, Chairperson, again, one of the key officials at the time who was implicated by the forensic report left the employment of the city, I think years back, probably around 2016, 2017, if I'm not mistaken. So there has been challenges, Chairperson, in following through to a point that there is an individual or individuals that take full accountability of what transpired when those transfers were done in a fraudulent manner. And the latest, as I indicated, Chairperson, is that the report back is that the SIU was not proceeding with the case and that the two officials that were in the employ of the city at the time have since passed. Chair, with regards to the Office of the Public Protector investigation, we again have shared with the committee that the city is still taking the matter on review, although a position was taken by the city that they will continue to work with all stakeholders in resolving the cases of the 4 petitioners in the context of the petition that has been submitted to Parliament. Regard to the broad report of the Office of the Public Protector, because of its implications, the matter is still before the court, and there's a team of attorneys that have been appointed to represent the city. And we can, in writing, give the committee status of where that process is with regards to the review of the Public Protector's report. The third part I wanted to also clarify, I think it was asked by Honorable Sitola, could be mistaken, or even Honorable Zabata, is regarding this matter between the City of Tshwane and the cooperation. Chair, the good news is that Northwest has written to us on Friday, the 28th of February, to advise us that the powers of attorney have since been signed for us to proceed with the township establishment and proclamation, and in some areas even transfer of properties for those that are across of Northwest Housing Corporation. We are waiting for the hard copies, the original copies, so that we can start that needs to follow, Chair, which we are grateful for. There are still some outstanding matters with regards to the asset register that the city had requested, as well as the issue of rates and taxes that are owed to the city. That will follow its own process, but for purposes of being able to finalize some of the property transfers that we could not, on the basis that we did not have powers of attorney, I think we have had a breakthrough, Chair. And I'd like to give Divisional Head Petal Thring just to fill in where I could have left out some detail. Thank you.
Divisional Head. Are you fine, Divisional Head? Okay, maybe it's fine. Let's go to Northwest Housing Corporation. Do you want to say something?
Chairperson, just in terms of the delivery of the original copies, that will happen between today and Friday. They will be delivered.
Okay, there is a promise. It should be recorded that it will be delivered the latest by Friday, so that you can proceed with township establishment. The original document will be delivered by Friday. HOD, Northwest.
Thank you, Chair. Let me take this opportunity to appreciate the support and comments made by members. I was having challenges in trying to place myself and the department in responding to Honorable Zabeda's comments, but Honorable Ditebe has covered me. In terms of the question by Honorable Ketamabala, the design of 462, sir, came about as a result of an additional amount that we now have on the table. We sat with Mr. Kaswe around that to try and get a design that will be suitable. And this is where Mr. Kaswe then came with a design of over 800 or about 850,000 rands, which is far outside the quantum and the money that we have raised. So we cannot implement any consequence management because nobody has done any wrongdoing. Where we are is to find each other with Ndate Kaswe for him to come back and actually accept the package that we are able to offer as government. And we are ready. The contractor is ready. As a department, we are ready. He has been approved on the system. We are just waiting on him to provide the dignity, Honorable Zabeda, that he has lost over the years. So we continue to engage him. That is why on Friday, he then came up with, he's now becoming amenable to the solution on the table. We're just waiting for him to put it in writing, and then we'll be running with the process. Thank you. And thanks, Mike Hakilwe and Honorable Paul, for your comments of appreciation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, HOD. DG, do you want to comment? Or somebody from your delegation?
No, Chair. I think the other two spheres of government have indeed encapsulated what our position is as of now. We do take to heart also what Honorable Abada had said, but we wish to assure her that, like us, we want the matter resolved now and finalized so that we can focus on the bigger Mawiga challenge. Is that with the bigger Mawiga, people have not necessarily lost houses, but they still do not have the title deeds. And we will still need to deal with that. The petitioners was our first prize to resolve the matter. And I think, Chair, as it is now, and knowing that we are keen on getting to the finish line, we think that per the reports you would have had, you can analyze as members have done so, that we have made some progress. We have cleared the hurdleways. Of course, there is the human element we've got to deal with in this regard and ensure that we don't behave like the apartheid government and simply impose on these people beyond their will, but we've got to follow this and guided by the Batupini principles and work with them closely. We will continue to coordinate, Chair, and we hope that beyond this process, we would put our foot on the pedal and ensure that we move even faster than we have been. And we think that what Tshwane still has got to do in identification of the land and what we must still do with Mr. Kaswe, and also what must happen to the site from Mr. Mure, as well as the finalization of building of a house for Ms. Dingwane, that those are taken to their logical conclusion. That's where we'll pause, Chair, on the matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DG. MEC, do you have comments? MEC Tasnim? MEC Mutara? Okay, I see she's on the platform, but maybe she's still attending to something. Honorable members, DG, MEC, HOD, the City of Tshwane, we really want to thank you. I think there's progress. Like one member said, we can now see the light at the end of the tunnel. And like we said in Tshwane HOD, that we really appreciate what you did by going out of your way to raise more funds so that we can resolve this issue. You were not forced to, and nobody would have charged you with anything if you didn't do, but because you wanted to contribute toward the restoration of the dignity of these people, you went out of your way to raise money as an add-on so that Mr. Khaswe can get a better deal. We'll await your discussion with Mr. Khaswe. We hope you'll find one another and reach an amicable solution so that the top structure for Mr. Khaswe, or the house for Mr. Khaswe, can be built. We want to thank the City of Tshwane. I think when we met first, there was nothing we could report about, but now we see there's movement. And the MEC has also committed that now, because you've written to the right office, the MEC will look at this, and then it will definitely be resolved. Let's continue interacting with the petitioners, because it is our resolve as this committee that this matter must be brought to a close within a reasonable time. We can't continue. It has started many years ago. It can't continue for many years again. So we need to put this to a stand. Because we said we treat this as a project, we're managing it as a project. I think we'll have another meeting in around May to check progress. And I think at that time, we shall have moved some steps. Like I said, I'll speak to the MEC of Northwest for him to understand the seriousness of certain issues and the seriousness of being invited by Parliament. I'll also engage the MEC of Gauteng so that we see how we assist one another with respect to fast-tracking certain things. I'm going to request the HOD of Northwest to try to speak to the CEO of the corporation, Housing Corporation, and knock sense into him before we start writing each other letters. Maybe he doesn't understand the importance of this. He doesn't understand the seriousness, or maybe he doesn't understand what Parliament is and how it works. If you agree, HOD, I'm going to request you to speak to him and give me a report of what he's saying about him. There is a concern raised by honorable members that he seems to be undermining this committee. We don't want to come to that conclusion now until you speak to him. But if we come to that conclusion, we'll react as appropriate. But we don't want to write each other's letters now. We want to talk to each other, find one another before we take it there. Like I said, the next report would expect around May and see how far we are with all these things. DG, the issue of title, I think we'll have, if committee members agree, we must have a special meeting. I don't know when. The secretary of the portfolio committee will advise at some stage, just to talk about title deeds, so that we see how far we are with the issue of title deeds. It's not today, but we'll arrange for such a meeting. In the meantime, your people can start preparing. Like I said, thank you very much. Maybe let me check with the HOD whether she's able to carry the request, so that I don't leave here thinking that it will be carried and it will not. HOD?
Thank you, Chairperson. I will definitely sit down with the CEO, indicate the implications of his continuous absenteeism from the meeting, and I'll report back to the chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, HOD. Here we're talking about the lives of people, and we'll also get a report of your engagements with Mr. Khaswe. Immediately you shall have met with him, so that we see how we move forward. But we are happy that he's able to compromise and understand that certain things cannot be done, but we all want him to have a roof over his head, something that he will leave. Even when he's no longer here, he will leave for his children. I think we are done with Gauteng and Northwest and City of Tshwane. Thanks very much. We are now going to Western Cape. Though City of Tshwane, Northwest Corporation, and Gauteng, if you want to leave, there's no problem. You are allowed to. But the National Department will remain together with the Western Cape Department. Thank you very much once more. Let's move on to the next item.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Briefing by Western Cape. Briefing by Western Cape Department of Infrastructure.
Good morning again, Chairperson, all members. Thank you for the invitation to join the engagement today. I am joined here today by, let me start with the National Department. We have a task team, so we sit regularly with the National Department. I'm also joined by my colleagues within the DRI, Peter Claassen, who's our Technical Project Manager on site, David Ali, who is our Director responsible for planning on site. Then we also have with us the municipality, Mr. Mayeki is here, and Mr. Swas is here as well. And all of us together as an IGR team, we sit together on the task team for this particular intervention. So I am going to present, Chairperson, but my colleagues can perhaps add if I've left anything out of my inputs. I'm not 100% familiar with Zoom, so I'm not exactly clear on how to share.
Let's see your face.
Oh, I forgot to do that. Okay, let's do that first. And now it's gone. Okay, 1 second, Chairperson. Sorry, I'm proving to be very inept at the moment. Good morning, everyone.
HDA is also in attendance, Chairperson.
Who?
HDA.
Oh, HDA.
I'm not sure who's voting from HDA.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I hope you can see me. I didn't see the HDA here, but welcome. Thank you for letting me know. Chairperson, can I switch my camera off and then I'll begin? And let me know if you see the presentation.
Yes, we've seen your face. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And the presentation, can you see that, Chairperson?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. Let's begin. So let me start, Chairperson. We meet every month. So this presentation is dated the 31st of January, but we have had a subsequent meeting on the 28th of February, which was Friday. So the information that I present today is more updated than what is on the presentation. We do have another presentation that's got the latest information, but I'm sure the National Department, when we share the report and presentation too, can happily share that with the chairperson and the members as we move forward. Okay, so I just want to continue then. Just give me 1 second. So, Chairperson, we've been here a number of times. The committee's gotten quite frustrated with the progress on this project, and I must say that probably as relieved as the committee is to see some progress, the team is very relieved to see that we're moving forward. The HDA has been appointed, and they've been doing some really good work in getting us moving in terms of this particular project. So what we've done is we've got 5 milestones. The first one is aerial imagery and the verification of who's actually on site. The second one is a decanting and relocation strategy. We need to confirm the different engineering services on site. Then we need the project implementation readiness report. That's a document that the Department of Infrastructure requires to actually approve funding. That application, as well as a project feasibility report application, those were another milestone, as those were delaying the placement of the projects within the business plan. And then the last milestone is the upgrading and housing master implementation plan. So I'm not going to go through all of this, Chairperson. I want to just, I'm sure the committee's been involved for a while now. They are aware of where the different sites are. Some of the land is owned by the municipality, and some particularly are located on private land, particularly the Imagwaleni site is private land. So I want to jump straight into the verification process, which is the first milestone, the aerial imagery milestone, and the different verification processes that we've undertaken, Chairperson. So when you have a look here, I'm going to give you a quick summary of the different processes. So the verification process is now 99% complete. You'll see here that it was at 97% complete. There was a total of 10 beneficiaries in the one area and 4 in the other that we couldn't get hold of. That's now dropped to 2 households that we haven't been able to reach. So the verification process is 99% complete, Chairperson. And we have now moved on from the verification process toward beginning the subsidy qualification process, but I'll get into that a little bit later for where we go from there. Okay, so when it comes to the aerial imagery, we have instituted aerial imagery in September 2024, and then again, aerial imagery was sourced in January 2025. So the HDA has an agreement with a service provider where they get every 3 months they get imagery. So that's going to enable us to compare the growth of the informal settlements within 3 months. So when we look at the latest, because we received this report, we didn't have the January imagery yet, but in February we had received it. So there's been minimal, very little difference in growth that we can detect between the 2 imageries done. Sorry, I just want to get to the exact names, Chairperson, so that I don't give you the wrong information. So the aerial imagery was received in January. We compared the 2, and there were no significant changes. The only areas we noted slight changes was in North Mandela Square and in Aspat. It was in Imaglaweni. Sorry, I'm getting the names wrong. So let me say that again. There was no notable changes for North Mandela Square and Aspat, but in Imagwaleni, we saw slight growth of the informal settlement. So the HDA will continue to monitor this every 3 months as we get the different aerial imagery coming in. And we have asked the municipality, because we're going to need to make sure that we contain growth of Imagwaleni. So that's where we are now. In addition to this, besides the 3-month imagery that we're receiving from the service provider, The HDA has also approached the Department of Rural Development. They are about to start flying drones over the land as well. So we should have additional imagery. The HDA has already consulted with the municipality and they're on board with this process. The permissions from the landowners are needed. The municipality is on board and the HDA is engaging with the private landowners to facilitate the drone flyovers for their properties. So that we're hoping, Chairperson, will be done in March 2025. So when we get to April, we should actually have the imagery from the service provider and hopefully the imagery from rural development, which will give us even better data to work with. Okay, so that's where we are with the imagery. I want to just take us to, okay, here we're speaking to the different land parcels. So I think before I get there, I just want to go through some of the verification information. We did say, as did say earlier, Chair, that we at 99% completion. The concern when we verified before we went in, the committee will remember that there was great concern in terms of the densification and who was the actual owner of the site. So when HDA undertook the verification, there were only 3 families that were disputing the ownership of the site. The rest of the households, there's been acceptance who the owner is. What we've decided then is that where these disputes occur, we need to go back to the original approval list of the service sites to verify on that list who the owner is. Then, so that's the 3 disputed families. The verification also showed that the majority of applicants that were verified, 506 households, are not on the municipality's housing demand database. Now, that is a concern because the beneficiary selection criteria is that the household needs to have been on the housing demand database for 3 years. Now, there are options. The provincial minister can grant exemption for that. But the challenge is that we have to identify the persons, the verified persons through the HDA list and compare them to the original allocated site list. On the HSS, that isn't currently noted. So we want to prevent future disputes in terms of ownership, especially if we start building tough structures. If we cannot correlate the two, we should not be asking for exemption because we must be sure that the correct owner of the site has been listed through the verification process. I have to just acknowledge the councillor, chairperson, because the councillor has walked this path with the HDA. He supported them in terms of loud hailing and getting the community to the different meetings and events. An important part of a role for the councillor going forward is to reiterate to the community the beneficiary allocation criteria. And as we move through the process of vetting, that the person identified through the verification process and the person that was originally intended to have the site is the same person, there may be some conflicts there because there's a discrepancy. So that is the next process where we are now. I can say that we've done all of the verification lists through the HSS already. So we've looked at things like if people are married or their status, and then if they are employed. We haven't done a deed search because in terms of owning previous property, because it comes with a significant cost. So the intention is when we have the subsidy applications, we will then actually do the deed search one time instead of double costing for that. So from a verification process, we're very comfortable. The verification report was due on the 31st of January and it has been received, and we've now moved into the subsidy process. So on the 1st of February, the HDA and the department then initiated the subsidy application process. So the HDA then ran a public meeting where everyone was informed about what the subsidy application process entails and what would be required. The councillor was present as well. They then informed the community that there would be a special session where the HDA would help the beneficiaries complete the subsidy application forms. They set themselves up in a hall, they had printers, photocopiers, all of those things. The community simply had to arrive. We had very poor turnout at the event. So only 24%, 158 households of the 652 households arrived. So that is concerning. What the HDA then did is they ran a second workshop, or I'm calling it a workshop, but a subsidy administration process this past weekend. This time they included a Sunday, just in case it would be easier for some households to come on a Sunday. I don't have the statistics on how many additional households attended. I do know that the HDA was going to go door to door and knock on people's door, asking them to come to register at the hall. So we're hoping to see a vast improvement when it comes to the subsidy applications for these different precincts. Okay, so Chairperson, I'm going to jump to the decanting and relocation strategy. So there were 5 parcels of land originally identified by the municipality, particularly for the decanting. Now, the challenge is that of the 5 that were identified, 3 pieces of land belong to the municipality and 2 belong to the private landowner. Now, the 3 pieces of land that belong to the municipality is not in the same ward, so that could create contention within the municipality. And the decision was then, or we were advised that the municipality have indicated they want the HDA to pursue the private land parcels close to the project. So at the moment, the HDA this week is meeting with the landowner. The landowner has been consulted by the municipality. He is saying that they pretty much see the land as lost, given that the invasions have happened. But the municipality has asked the HDA to continue this discussion with the landowners, understand what is required to secure 1 hectare of this land for the TRAs that are intended to decant. That meeting's happening this week. It will be attended by the municipality, the HDA, and our departmental representatives, our planners, and our implementation team, so that we are sure that that we're all on the same page in terms of what would be required and the time. Obviously, acquiring a private piece of land and development rights and all of that could have minefields. We know that. So we want everybody in the room with the landowner so that we stay on the same page and we ensure that we try to get it through into the business plan as soon as we can. Okay, so I'm going to move on from there. The internal services report, that report was due on the 28th of February, so we're on track with that. That essentially tracks the different services within the informal settlements. So I just want to go back to my notes because we spoke about it at the last meeting, Chairperson. So if you just give me a second, let me find it so that I can give you a quick summary. So in January, when the team went out, they looked at electrical infrastructure, and it was confirmed that many of these points are already existing. They noted the road is gravel and asphalt will need to be laid on it, and that costing still needed to be prepared, which would have been in the interim engineering report due at the end of the month. They noted that stormwater infrastructure seemed to be adequate. They noted that each of the 652 stands did have an outside toilet and that the conditions appeared to be satisfactory. Then the engineers recommended a piping exercise. So they wanted to check the services just to ensure that there wasn't any blockages. They indicated that for water, all the 652 sites did have adequate water points and a standpipe. They were concerned about the pressure, water pressure at some of these sites, as well as locating any leakages, which of course also speaks to the blockage test. So they were going to implement a pressure test and confirm that some of the fitments and valves which speak to the water pressure, which of them would need to be replaced, and if that were the case, a final funding proposal would be provided. So the engineering report is on track. We are comfortable with this milestone, and I'm going to move on from here. So these are just some of the inputs that I gave. You can see the engineers took some pictures for us. And you can go through that again. Then we're looking at the project implementation readiness report and the project feasibility report. Now, the project implementation readiness report has been provided to the department in a draft form. We do need the annexures, the feasibility assessment, and sorry, the decanting strategy before we can finalize the application, and it goes through the departmental system. So the date that's been set for the HDA is that by the 20th of March, the final project implementation readiness report will be submitted. And then the PFR for North Mandela Square is also intended to be submitted shortly, also in March, chairperson and members. So we are on track with this indicator as well. From my notes, the PFR, yes, is also intended to be delivered in March. So we are happy with the progress in terms of these, and we happy that once the application comes in, all of the annexures will be there to justify us taking it through the process with the correct costing applied. So we now head to the final milestone. This is the milestone. My new timeline, I think I had this for October. I can just double check it. Yes, 31st of October. So it's the final upgrading housing master plan that's required. So there's quite a lot of work that needs to be done for the master plan. And you can see here the legal assessment, environmental assessment, geotech, box service assessment, the development of an upgrading concept, layouts, urban design, settlement growth, and then of course the decanting of the land of the settlement needs to be spoken to. So you can see that initially we've now verified that there's approximately 5,071 desktop exercise when we check unit structures on this piece of land. So it's Aspat, Imagwaleni, and North Mandela Square. That's a significant number of structures. If you then multiply it by the potential cost, it could be quite significant. So we need to then do a budget for rudimentary services. That would have been part of the engineering report, and then cash flows. So our concern, and this is something that the national department will need to note, is that with the amount of structures, 5,071 identified, it will pretty much wipe out the balance of the informal settlements, the ISUPG grant. And considering that there's lots of other projects in other municipal areas that are already on our business plan, we are going to need to talk about potentially funding and how the funding of this project will be done going forward. Chairperson, there was just, if you give me 1 second, there was one other. I'm using different devices so that I'm sure that I can give you the best input I possibly can. For milestone 5, and that isn't on this presentation, Chairperson. Like I said, it was discussed in our project management meeting on the 28th. So the HDA, as per the municipality's insistence, is also reviewing the provision of rudimentary services for North Mandela Square, Aspat, and Imaglaweni. The provincial minister is not in favor of chemical toilets, given the huge cost of management and maintenance. So a different assessment in terms of these interim services are being looked at. Container toilets are being considered, and it will then be costed as part of the engineering report. It's also proposed that the reblocking of Aspat, so that we can allow for the installation of basic rudimentary services, is also undertaken. So that process is underway. We are going to be doing, like I said, with the housing plan, the deblocking design, layout, and all of those kinds of things. So I think, Chairperson, that's it, unless my colleagues would like to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. August. Is there any addition, maybe from HDA? If nothing, welcome MMC Muso, MMC Palesa. Do you have something to say?
Morning, Chairperson. Morning to your committee as well and colleagues. Currently nothing. I think I am covered by Mrs. August, by everything that she has shared so far.
Okay. SDA, are you covered also? Okay, there seems there's nobody from HDA. DG, do you have comments?
Chair, as you had requested us to keep an eye and to keep track on the progress being done in this way, one could indeed report to the committee that we have seen some progress. We did, after the last engagement on the 30th of October, we were able to meet with the province on the 10th of December to keep track of where we are and the issues and to see what other support from our planning unit we could render to the province. And we also aided in getting the HDA out of their starting blocks. We made a follow-up meeting again on the 31st of January 2025 with the view of checking where we are, and we can confirm the contents of the presentation and the progress that has been registered on the ground as Ms. August has presented. Thank you very much, Chair.
Hi, Camilla, can you stop sharing, please? Thank you.
Thank you very much, DG. Honorable members, there is a report, progress report. Can we engage with it? If you have anything to say, if nothing, it's still fine. Honorable Gamede, followed by Honorable Sitole, followed by Honorable Dutebe. In that order, Honorable Gamede, you are on the floor.
Am I audible, Chair? You also want
Yes,
to see me?
can you
see me? Okay. Let me close the video then. Yes. No, thank you very much, Chairperson. No, I just want to make a comment on the Breede Valley project. I think the planning of the new Mandela Square project demonstrate a well-structured approach. It's just my comment with a clear defined milestone and budget allocation. I think the budget is around 5,55,000 for a 2023-2024 financial year. Covers critical activities such as arena, imagery, relocation strategies, engineering assessment, and also upgrading plans. I think it's allowing for adjustment based on feasible studies and also community engagements. I think the challenges that we might come across, the project faces challenges in infrastructure readiness, particularly concerning electrical, water, and sanitation services. Issues such as sewer blockage, informal housing structures prone to fire hazards, and water leaks highlights the need for careful planning and maintenance. And I think we must push very hard on that one. Additionally, the decanting of relocation strategy requires coordination with municipal and private landowners to secure suitable sites, ensuring a smooth transition for affected residents. My question, Chairperson, just a second. Yo. I'm sorry. Can I come back with the question? I'm being disturbed by a direct call that is coming from what I've just noted down, Chairperson. I'm using my phone. Chair, can you hear me?
Yes, okay.
Yes, can I come back later with my question?
All right. Honorable
Thanks.
Stolle. Honorable Ketamabala.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. And again, Honorable Chairperson, we appreciate the presentation. But my concern, Honorable Chairperson, is the issue of budget. Because if you can check the study, all different kind of a study, the infrastructure development is actually not yet budgeted for. If I'm wrong, sometimes the official can help me, because I see when you see the budget that was presented to us, it's not the budget that is going to cover the infrastructure and the construction as such. So now if that one can be clarified, Honorable Chairperson. And another issue, Honorable Chairperson, is the issue of because the land, they have private land and private owned land and the municipalities own land. I'm trying to check how many land parcel that is going to be used from private, and what motivation, what actually information do they have? There's any meeting with those private? Because if you are developing the private land or land parcel for private, they have to put something, because most of them, they just says the government must pay for their land, whereas they're supposed to have some fundings to that development, because it happened on their land. If that one, Honorable Chairperson, can be clarified and so that we can have the information about what is happening. And I'm worried, Honorable Chairperson, the issue of 652 houses that they are going to contract or to build. Do they have the beneficiaries now for those houses that they are going to build, or they are going to identify the beneficiaries later than what's supposed to be? Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Ditebe.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Okay, let me lower my hand first, and then I think the department, rather the city, was here in the morning. So, but let me show my face briefly and switch off my video. Okay, sorry about the glare. I'm in the house now. I'm in the house. Chairperson, I don't know. There was a part of the presentation, I think it was owing to some network glitches on my side. There, I think, was reference to about 3 families that seemed to be resistant to moving or something to that effect. If the city could just explain that to us and That being so, what is the current situation? Have they engaged any dispute resolution mechanisms so that those families do not delay the project? You will remember, Chairperson, that when we went to Banana City in eThekwini, we had a case of 2 such families, but after we left, they made way so that there could be a continuation with the project, because we are humane. We don't just take bulldozers and throw people overboard. And that's what warrants this kind of approach. The other issue, Chair, I heard Ms. August refer to the cases that are on their business plans. Now, I do understand you cannot commence with this kind of project unless you've provided for it on the business plan and it is properly funded. Now, could she kindly tell us how many other deserving cases in respect of projects of this nature that have not as yet been placed on the business plan? And I'm raising this because she said perhaps the department could look at the 5,000 plus households that will be taken care of, and that very same act will almost completely wipe off the informal settlement areas that are there. The department will respond to that, and I'd like you to invite the department to respond to that. We do know, Chairperson, that our resources are not infinite, are not limitless, and that from time to time we have to do opportunity cost and cost benefit analysis when it comes to issues such as these. We know that these kinds of interventions on the part of the department, the CT, the Provincial Human Settlement Department, are of course necessitated, among other things, by growth in the population of the city or the province in question, as well as by interprovincial migration. That being so, Chairperson, we therefore do know that while indeed Cape Town would be among the biggest of the magnets as far as attracting people, I'm talking here not about foreign nationals, I'm talking about South Africans from across the country within the belly of the phenomenon of interprovincial migration. That in and of itself, that does not necessarily, if to use the popular jargon, does not decant people completely out of other provinces into the Western Cape. By far, provinces such as KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng still remain very populous. Now, my question, therefore, and going back to the department, is whether indeed it is feasible to redirect funding towards this particular project, because in the view of the city, and for a very good reason, they would like to make a very huge dent on the informal settlement area in that particular place. So that, Chairperson, we know what else it is that can be done. The last question, Chairperson, relates to what I think the city must do. On the one hand, you can follow negotiations, mediate, implore, and try all sorts of things to try and impress upon the private sector and other role players to help in the resolution of this problem. Because, Chairperson, we can, for example, talk of economic growth, which is always good news to those that are in business or the private sector. But equally, we must speak of social needs, development, social cohesion, nation building, because you cannot look at the one and not look at the other. A very clear example of a serious blot on the fiber or the fabric of our democracy is July 2021 unrest, which clearly says that if we completely disregard issues relating to social needs, social innovation, social cohesion, the private sector simply cannot survive on its own. Certainly, it needs government, it needs communities, it needs all kinds of role players where we need to innovate, not only in respect of things like artificial intelligence, but also from a social sciences and humanities perspective. So I'd like the department to respond to that. So are there no other avenues, my question, where the city perhaps could, mobilize resources, in particular in respect of acquisition of this land? Could there be an impediment to this being realized as a result, perhaps, of profiteering on the part of landowners, private landowners? Does the city have a view, for example, insofar as the recently passed Expropriation Act, which, by the way, replaces the Apartheid era 1976 Expropriation Act, which means there was in the first place a need for such a piece of legislation, except that at that time, the 1975 Expropriation Act was driven purely on the basis of following a narrow technical cold procedure on the basis of parliamentary supremacy or parliamentary sovereignty. In our context, it's constitutional supremacy founded on the four values, the founding values A up to D, one of which is constitutional supremacy, the rule of law, etc. So, the therefore Expropriation Act will not just be pursued willy-nilly. Has the city perhaps, in addition to whatever other solutions it may be contemplating to expedite this process so that we lend dignity to these people, has it considered the mobilization perhaps through engagements with all other role players, the private sector, owners of land there, including looking at the possible use of the Expropriation Act as recently assented to by the President? So, Chairperson, those would be my questions. And I'd like to thank them for having come forward. I think lastly, we need to share if there are best practices from eThekwini or from even large municipalities which may not be metros as far as this particular phenomenon is concerned. It is always important that we do so because the first presentation, the one that preceded this particular one, just goes to show if people are determined, especially insofar as this relates to the three spheres of government and other role players, a solution can indeed be found if we invest ourselves in finding a solution after all. Chairperson, I'd like to thank you on that note.
Thank you, Honorable Gamede. Your question?
I'm sorry. Thank you, Honorable Chair. No, My question was that considering the planned decanting and relocation strategy for the new Mandela Square project, what potential socio-economic and infrastructural challenges could arise from relocating residents from to the resident relocation areas, TRAs, and how can these be mitigated to ensure minimal disruption to affected communities? The second one, given the assessment findings on the internal engineering services, such as the unavailability of electrical, water and sanitation infrastructure, but with issues like sewer blockage, flammable construction materials, and lower water pressure, what specific engineering interventions and regulatory measures should be prioritized to enhance safety, sustainability, and long-term functions of the upgraded housing project? Chairperson, I just want to raise this, and I think I'm raising this out of respect. And I think we as members we will try by all means, as we always try. We come from different organizations where we all understand that. We carry a mandate from our constituencies. But it's disheartening when I see members trying to attack a certain member using a report of, because we are all members of the portfolio committee here. I can raise whatever that I can raise. Honorable Dithebe has raised his own what you call comment, or he has made his own input. But for them to attack a certain member politely or trying to be diplomatic, it's not correct. It is actually not correct, because there is no one who's got the right here to prohibit me from engaging on the reports, on the what you call, on the presentation done by the DG together with his whole team. What they are actually doing today, it is completely wrong, Chairperson, and it would be bad if they would do that and then try to hide themselves behind you and then come as if and give applause to you. We all appreciate the good work that we are doing, Chair, but we do not want those small little things to be done in your name, and they must members must desist from that. Otherwise, we will collapse what we have built for a very long time. And in previous months, we've been operating very well. And this thing that you've just started, I do not like it, and I'm not going to stand and appreciate it. I just wanted to raise that with you, Chairperson. Please condemn that with these comrades, with these members. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Poole.
Thank you, Chair. Is it? No. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, members. Chair, it's my constituents we debate about. It's evident that we see today that the collaboration between the different spheres of government and the HOD has alluded to it, that how many progress meetings they had in that regard. And exactly what we see in the presentation, and allow me to appreciate and say thank you for the presentation, is that exactly what we as a committee send them back and ask them, between yourself, city, as well as province and national, please come back with a report, a progress report, how we will make a difference in 5,000 and more people's life in upgrading the informal settlement. And I think as a committee today, we have to support it, because why we talk about 5,000 and more people waiting for that opportunity. And I want to acknowledge HDA, their superb effort to ensure that every household is part and parcel of this particular event or project. And the effort they set in over weekends just to get everybody on board and get the right information onto their database. And then applaud them for the negotiations for additional land just to Deacon people, in order for us to land a successful upgraded event project. And then, yes, of course, I not want to lobby this committee, but I will assume that this is a project that we can support. And yes, without budget, nothing will realize, but I become a reality. But we as a committee and as a whole can support and prioritize where it's needed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Can we get responses to the comments and questions? Ms.
Thank you,
August?
Chairperson. Thank you, members, for the questions. I am going to pull in my colleagues from the task team to help respond. But firstly, to just say thank you to Honorable Paul, as well as Honorable Gamedi for recognizing the effort. I appreciate the feedback. The team has worked really hard, all the spheres of government, to get us to where we need to be. And I'm really grateful for the support across the spheres of government for where we've gotten to. So just to really take a moment to do that. I'm not necessarily going to answer the questions in sequence, but I think let's start with the infrastructure question. The infrastructure engineering report has only just being finalized, or is in the process of being finalized, and it will be received on the 14th of March as part of the project implementation readiness report. So all the questions that members are asking about the blockages, the consequences for the sustainability of the settlement, the water leaks, all of that, we have asked the HDA to cost that into the engineering report. So by the next time we present to the portfolio committee, or even hopefully we will meet as a team again at the end of March, and then submit our monthly progress report to the national department. We can provide almost a supplementary report if the committee would like that in writing, just to give you some feedback on the outcomes of the engineering report. I know everybody's really excited with where we're headed, but the studies are still being done. We're pulling the information together, and we'll move from there. Then I am going to ask my colleague David just to speak to the different budget. I can commit, or I can confirm that the budget for these studies are it's part of the HDA. We've put it into our business plan. There is budget allocated for the work that the HDA is doing for next year's business plan. But there is also an emergency housing fund at the national department that we could potentially use as well. So the budget question may not be an insurmountable question, like the members have alluded to earlier. When the different spheres of government put their heads together, we can find a way. And I have no doubt of the commitment from all of our spheres of government to moving this forward. So perhaps the National Department can also input on that. But I am going to ask my colleague, David, our Director of Planning, to just speak to our business plan, to give some information on what are the other informal settlement projects in the business plan. But just to take it a little bit further, the honourable member asked about, we've got an informal settlements database in the province, which speaks to the number of informal settlements, not only in the city of Cape Town, but outside of the metro. So I'm going to ask my colleague David to just speak to that particular aspect. Then in terms of the 3 families resistant that Honourable Tembe mentioned, it's not that they're resistant, it's that there's a dispute of ownership. So the site is double occupied. Both 1 and 2 are saying they own the site. So what we did say is that we need to look at the original allocations list of the site. And of course, the person who was allocated the site would be the owner of the site. I am going to ask the municipality, because the question really has been, what does it mean? What discussions have been undertaken? But that is, the process continues with the community and the in that regard. So I've said that David will respond to the informal settlements question. And then the last one that I've got on my list is the expropriation of land. I must say that the engagements with the private landowner, like I said, the deal discussion is going to happen this month. But I'm also going to ask David to just speak to what the criteria for the province would be that needs to be provided before we would budget for the project. So we would look at readiness criteria. There's no point us putting 5 million rand in the budget, but then I don't know, it's a wetland, for example. So we require certain information to put it into the budget so that we can ensure spending. We don't put, if we can't ensure readiness, we don't put that through into our budget. So I think let me start by handing over to David, and then we will hand over to Mr. Mayeki to just handle the questions intended for the municipality. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. August. I'll quickly flight my picture. Chair, thank you very much. Honorable members, thank you. DGHOD, thank you for this opportunity. I'll quickly touch on the budget scenario that we have in the Western Cape for the high CPG. Bearing in mind that the project is of two different approach. One is to build houses for beneficiaries, and one is to resolve the informal settlement that are close to 500 housing opportunities in that regard. So in terms of our business plan process, in the past 2 years, we used to have 500 million plus on the high CPG that responds to informal settlement. In the current year, we only have 382 million that we are allocating towards informal settlement through the high CPG. In 2026-27, the budget has since reduced to 109 million. So more or less, we only have 20% of the funding that we used to have to respond to informal settlement in the whole of Western Cape, by saying that the outcome of all the studies will lead us to have a concrete and a solid implementable plan. The conversation that needs to happen is the funding. Where will the funding be coming from in terms of partnership that Honorable Ditebe mentioned? We will go into partnership when we have bankable plan, as we are working on the infrastructure plan that we're going to be able to get from this exercise. So mobilizing resources will come into play as we go along. The land, any land that is to be acquired for human settlement purpose needs to go through rigorous exercise of spatial suitability in terms of the location. Is it informed by the SPLUMA, which says that it has to be within the urban edge, and also informs the infrastructure that is laid and affecting the area. Environmental issues also need to be combed out to be able to get to if it's actually suitable for human habitation, and we'll look into all those aspects before it gets to being budgeted for. So land, the 3 parcels of land that was identified, we mentioned that some were municipal owned land, which is probably in close proximity and in another ward different from the ward that we were responding to. The private land are within the ward, but more or less outside of the urban edge context that we need to also consider the planning implication in that regard. So for a typical project like this, is going to be funded from the 2 grants. The HSDG will be funding the houses to be built for the qualified and intending beneficiary. The informal settlement that is part of the intervention in that area will be funded through the ICPG. So that's the difference between the two. Until such time that we've clarified the details of the beneficiaries that we'll be building for. Funding would then be allocated in full for the houses to be built, so that when we know the number of qualifying beneficiaries, that's when we'll be able to look into that. The overview of the informal settlement in Western Cape. At the moment, we have over 1,200 informal settlement across the province between the metro and the non-metro. But if you look at the context we are dealing with, which is the non-metro, we have 431 informal settlement that we are dealing with in the non-metro with the funds that we have. So our own position in Western Cape is to start looking at reblocking and super blocking approach because of the budget constraint, so that we will not be going into depth versus breadth. We want to be able to reach as many households as possible, so that our limited funding or allocation cuts across various informal settlement in the main. So the reblocking exercise that will happen in Emagueleni that would entail relocating household would entail providing basic services to where they are going to be relocating to. That's why Ms. August mentioned the different funding streams that we'll be looking at. We'll be looking at emergency housing funding from National Department to be able to probably provide additional relocation material in terms of the poles and disaster kits to be able to supplement what exists, or look at the alternative ABT scenario to be able to accommodate the families at large. I think I've covered in the main what I'm responsible for. Thank you very much, Chair and members.
Thank you. There's an issue of 3 families that are resisting to leave. Can you touch on that one?
So, Chair, in terms of the 3 families, maybe the way it came out, it's not that they are refusing to leave. The 3 families are families contexting on 3 different plots. So we have 3 plots with various households with their shacks on the plot. So the ownership of those plots is contested by 2 multiple households residing on those plots. So what we are doing is to, as Ms. August mentioned earlier, what we are doing is to engage the family and also to bring the original allocation list from the municipality when it was serviced in 2016 thereabout, 2013 thereabout. My dates are skewed up now. That we should use that list to be able to mitigate and say, okay, the original beneficiaries of this site was Mr. X, but we now have Mr. X and Y on this site. So using that as a leverage to say that it wasn't Mr. Y, it was Mr. X that actually the site was allocated to. That's what we're busy with now. And also to mitigate that by bringing the councillor in. The councillor is actually part of the process to be able to help us to negotiate, bearing in mind that any blockage because of 3 families or multiple families on the site will mean the blockage of the entire project. So we're carefully managing the process to not to escalate and to mitigate it using the local structure, which is the councillor that is involved, and also ourselves, HTA, and the municipality at large. I think that's the response to the question that you've asked, Chair.
Thanks very much. MMC Palesa, do you want to add?
Morning, Chair. Chairperson, it was actually well explained that the 3 sites the 3 plots that we're talking about, it's people staying in one site, which is 2 families. So I think the answers that were given are covering the municipality at this stage.
Thank you. DG, budget.
There's a hand, Chair, from Mr. Mayeki.
Yes, Mr. Mayeki.
Chair, my name is Simpiwa Mayeki from the Breede Valley Municipality. Chair, I just wanted to add on what David Ali said. Currently, there is a dispute resolution mechanism, as I said, that involves the municipality, the committee, because in that area you have the ward committee, you have the informal settlement committees. They contribute in terms of the information to resolve all these disputes. And the other issue, there's a principle that has been agreed in the entire area as to the longest person on the site. In case everything else fails, the longest staying person on the site will be the person that be a beneficiary initially. The second person then can then be relocated to another area. So we are hoping all those things will be at play now so that we can resolve whatever is a dispute at hand. And the other issue is the issue of the negotiations for the private land. Chair, David had alluded on the reblocking issue, because in order to deal with some of the challenges in that area, we'll have to do the reblocking, but with that, because we have the bulk of the private land, we also need the private landowner to consent to those actions. But the initial discussion now is first to deal with the decanting site, which is the plus minus hectare, so that we can proceed with the construction. But from the initial discussions we had with the landowner, it's a question of they are willing to talk and they are willing to be of assistance to us. But of course, there are some issues that were highlighted by them, because the other issue is there is a proposed provincial road that cuts on the same area. So we are hoping now in these negotiations we can include that, so that there is some comfort from them that there will not be extra invasion and so on. So in the next, I think in the next portfolio committee meeting, we will then incorporate those reports as to how far we've got to the point. But so far, as I said, as a municipality, I think this is the best that has happened over the years, and we are with. Of course, there will be challenges, but we are looking forward in terms of completing whatever needs to be done in that part of the area. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayeki. DJ?
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and to the members. The issue of the budget, Chairperson, as we have indicated earlier, remains a thorny issue for all of us, on the strength that we have suffered both planned budget cuts plus also in-year budget cuts. The cuts had come largely from the grants that we give to both provinces and metros, and the Treasury has been cutting on that front. When those cuts come, we have up until now been doing a prorated cuts across the spectrum of provinces and metros. And therefore, the cuts that Mr. Ali speaks about and the reduction in budget in real terms is a reality that we all face, and we are still being required to do more with little that we have owing to that. And we think that given this, the answer lies in prioritization. And this goes to the issue I've raised before, that what we do first is what matters the most, and where we spend our money, it should be in line with the priorities as set by the government of the day. And in this regard, we remain cognizant of the fact that there were many planned projects in the pipeline, and the budget cuts were always going to be a thorn and a hindrance towards achievement of those at a pace we have. And it is for this reason, Chair, that we remain committed to working with provinces and cities to look at the key priorities and those that the representatives of the people in Parliament, represented by this portfolio committee, whenever they are elevated and taken higher, that we look that in the budgeting process and the prioritization process, they find resonance with what the business plans are saying. And we must commend province and city for having readily agreed after this matter was raised, and after the petition, I had petitioned the committee that it was then agreed that the project be fast-tracked, be elevated within the available resources that are there. And this far, on the little that is there as the budget has been presented, is what we are spending on those studies and on preparation that ultimately yet another of our grants, the HSDG can come in and kick in and see to the development of permanent top structures. But as Ms. August has indicated, that should go hand in hand with the current process of resolving and verification of beneficiaries and ensuring that we build for the right people and that we avoid disputes post the establishment of that. And we think that the process being followed is a correct one, albeit the fact that when we look at the timelines in terms of where we should be before the top structures go, you would realize that in essence, we are looking at a budget over 2 to 4 financial years. So I think that that's an indication of what the needs are. What has been encouraging has been the pictures that we get and the photos that we get, aerial view, that indicates a slow growth of that informal settlement, because if it was growing exponentially, it will even put even greater pressure than there is already on the table. And I think we are planning around that with province and city. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DG. Honorable members, DG and your delegation, Ms. August and your delegation, MMC, we want to thank you very much. I think, honorable members, I appreciating the progress that is there. Though small, but from where we were before and where we are today, there's a bit of progress. We just request you to push so that we are able to assist those who need assistance. We'll look at our program, and at some stage, we'll still call you just to give the committee feedback with regard to progress, because we want to make sure that we follow up on every step until the committee is happy that we're addressing the issue. Having said that, I want to thank you very much for your attendance, and enjoy the rest of the day. Secretary, what is the next item?
Hello, Chairperson. So that was our last presentation. But what I would like to remind members is about the meeting of next week. The meeting venue is at the castle. So I would love members to be here at Parliament if they can manage to take the early bus from the village to Parliament, so that between 8 and 8:30, there will be taxis from Parliament to the castle, so that we'll be there on time. Thanks, Chair.
Okay.
Person?
Let's release let me request honorable members to remain behind. Let's release our visitors. Remain behind just for 5 minutes. We can talk about something. All other, our visitors can leave the platform. Yeah, I see visitors are gone. Honorable Gamede raised something, and I didn't want to respond in the presence of our visitors, because at the same time, Honorable Gamede.
Mr. Mayaki, can you leave the platform, please?
Who's
Chair,
that one?
Chair, we still have people on the platform, Chair.
Mr. Mayaki, yeah.
But you can remove him.
Yes, I'm removing him.
Thank you. I was still saying Honorable Gamede raised an issue. I might have missed it, and I want him to be clear. But as a principle, I think if there is an issue between members of the committee, just for us to respect and be respected by our visitors, just indicate to the chair that, Chair, I would want us to discuss something that affects us as a committee, so that we don't raise issues in front of our visitors. Otherwise, we allow them to undermine us, whilst they see us as a united committee. But when we raise such things, especially if they are political, we allow them to undermine us. But having said that, I requested that we remain behind for just a few minutes so that I understand better what Honorable Gamede wanted to say. Honorable Gamede?
Thanks, Chair. No, I think there were questions that were raised. In fact, there were comments and questions that were raised by Honorable Saira. And okay, firstly, let me first apologize. It's just that it's not for the first time I've been saying this, especially to Honorable Duterte, that let us avoid certain things in front of the officials. But I think this thing, it goes on, and it ended up other members might feel that they are attacked or made mockery of unnecessarily so. So in this case, on the first presentation, I did not take a bite because I thought maybe for me, let me just calm down first, because it was going to turn very ugly if I responded at the time. So when Honorable Saira asked the question, followed by Honorable Duterte, instead of making his own input on the dignity and what should help out the people, and all of a sudden, Honorable Duterte goes and gives answers to a point that one of the officials, instead of giving answers, he said on the question raised by Honorable Apata, I will not give answers because Honorable Tebe has already answered. So for me, even if you have got your own feelings, even if my opinion, you feel that is stupid, there is no need for you to come. These people are getting paid for their work. If maybe it's something, maybe because we come from different organizations, some of us are our you know that even in our meetings, we've got people who comes as observers from our organizations. If they feel that I should ask a certain question, it might happen that it does not come from me or it doesn't, but you must respect that question, and a relevant person must give answers, not for us to behave like or behave like we are personal armies to certain officials. And for me, it did not sit very well. I had to protect one of our own. And again, Chairperson, I apologize for raising that in that meeting. It's just that I needed this to get sufficient attention. I think from now onward, let us treat each other very well. Let us comment. If you do not have a comment, let it pass. Don't come and attack me here. We can have our own meetings where we can discuss things and crush one another. You would say one thing, I would say another thing. But in front of these officials, we behave as if maybe we are there to show off or to promote a certain direction. I just want to pause there. That's actually what transpired, Honorable Chair.
Can I request, maybe before I call on other honorable members, Honorable Abad?
Yes, Chair, I'm here.
What's your comment?
Yes, I did feel a bit attacked there. I mean, my questions and what I spoke about was dignity of our people. And I don't think there's anything wrong there. And when I asked, can we not help these people? It's not, I wasn't attacking any particular party or anyone in any way. My thoughts, these are my thoughts, and it is my opinion. So I did feel a bit attacked there. So, and you know, I respect everybody else when they give their comments and their recommendations and their questions. I might not agree with it, and I think the sentiments are for everybody. Not everybody agrees with what's being said, but we respect one another. And the department does come over for us to hold them accountable. And that's all I asked for, is accountability and dignity. So that's my contribution there. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Abad. Can I check whether other members would want to say something? On this issue? Okay. Okay, Honorable Ketamabad, Honorable, followed by Honorable Kireki, and then Honorable Piti. Honorable Stolle.
Honorable Chairperson, first of all, I want to thank the Honorable Kamete by, if there's something that is not satisfied, by raising it. Although it was a good idea, but at the wrong place, because we have to respect the officials so that they can respect us. But before the official respects us, we have to respect ourselves. We have to respect ourselves. We have to respect our opinion. Let us respect the question that members are submitting to the committee, because it will help. And then another thing that I will ask is to work as a team. You see, if something that is coming from my member from the same party that I am, if he's wrong, we're supposed to caution that thing is not okay well to what you are saying. That's why I always prefer to be a member of the committee, not a member of the party. I will be a member of the party when I'm outside the committee, because we have to ensure that the unity and the respect is being observed in our committee. That's what I can say, Honorable Chairperson. But because I'm new in the committee, sometimes these two members, they were something, bathi ngesiZulu bagxobana mhlambe inyawo kungenzeka ke. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Khakile.
Chair, I fully agree with you, Chair, and Member Sithole, that whenever we have issues amongst ourselves, we must take it out of the officials. And from where I am, I don't think Honorable Ditebe was intentionally trying to attack one of the members just to defend the officials. That is not how we work in this group. It's just that at times we just think things out of emotions. But I really do not think that he will attack Honorable Abada intentionally just to defend the officials. I think maybe it just came out, but I've never seen Honorable Ditebe and Abada fighting. So there is nothing between them that can compel Reditebe to try and defend the officials. And I think it is a good proposal, Chair, that whatever that we want to say amongst ourselves, we must take it out of the meeting. It must be an in committee, only us. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mpiti.
Thank you very much, Chair, and very good day to honorable members. Chair, I just wanted to come in on a point of principle. And my point really is in relation to the ability to respectfully disagree. And I think that is a principle that we should uphold, because we are not always going to agree with each other in regards to, various points, particularly that regard the department and how the department operates. In the same breath, I want to say that I do think that the line of respect is very important, particularly as it emerges to the points that people make, and to lack of a better term, the intellectual, what one deems intellectual and what one does not deem intellectual. I think that's where the line of respect must come in. And I do think in this particular situation, we must also be honest that with Honorable Ditebe, there has been other incidences that have taken place. And I think that's probably why Honorable Gamade acted in the way that he did. I just think that we should be able to understand as a committee that we must respectfully disagree with each other when we do have points that are not the same, but draw the line where we deem each other's points intellectual or not intellectual. I think that is where disrespect really comes in. So I just wanted to raise that point of principle, that we should be very cognizant amongst each other to say that all points made are valuable, and points that are important to each honorable member, and one cannot deem anyone's point to be unintelligible or not worthy to be raised. I think we are here to represent our own constituencies and the people of this country, and we should be able to do that in a free and fair committee. So I think it's very much important that we do give each other respect. And I think when one degrades one's comment in front of officials, the line needs to be drawn there respectfully by you, Chair, that it is made, we are all made to feel like we are fair in this committee and our voices are equal, and no one is above anybody else. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Dlamini, followed by Honorable Frenchman.
Thank you so much, Chair. Greetings to the committee. I'd like to say that I'm not feeling well, to a point that I'll even attend the house sitting late because instead of getting better, I'm starting to get a bit worse. So I'll consult the doctor first. And that's the reason behind my silence throughout the meeting. However, it'll be incorrect for me in this instance to keep quiet, particularly because there are multiple incidences that have happened where members, particularly in the opposition benches, would feel that Honorable Ditebe, before making his own point, will answer to us first. And then and it will feel like whatever points we're trying to make may be redundant. And even though in that particular instance, we wouldn't have raised it at that particular point, but there has been heated exchanges amongst ourselves, even at an oversight, particularly because we would feel that members of the ANC would try to protect whatever governance and or officials at the expense of other members. It has happened before. It's got nothing to do with emotions. It's got nothing to do with maturity. It's got everything to do with that we must be open to engagement coming from each and every, because we're all representing, as much as we want to be a united front in this portfolio committee, we are representing our own individual political parties and their stances. And whenever we come to committee meetings and whenever we engage in oversight, we must ensure that we first and foremost put whatever mandate was been given to us before we're placed in this portfolio committee. And no one should mark that redundant, no matter how much we disagree. And the reason why we come from different political parties is particularly because there are certain matters of principle that we do disagree on. And then, so it's really a request of saying that if you are given a platform in the committee, raise your own point without marking, because essentially we're not talking to you. When we raise it to the floor, we will direct our question to whoever it is relevant for. And most of the time, it isn't relevant for the people who we are in the committee with. Thank you very much, Chair.
Honorable Frenchman.
Thank you so much, Chair. Good afternoon.
You are breaking, you are not working, it's not good.
Afternoon, members. I'm saying that when the presentation is given, each of us perceive it differently. We take away from the presentation as an individual. And it doesn't have to be in line with what anybody else feels. It's what you take away from that presentation. And it should be respected as such. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Gamete, is it a bigger hand or a new one?
Yes, it is another hand, Chair. No, Chair, I just wanted to point out again. All our members have said this, and this thing we must never deviate. You know, at times a presentation or whatever the talk you may make is open to interpretation. Honorable Betty must not come here and do what we are trying to actually condemn. She is actually trying to say we should have received this, or we should have accepted that Honorable Ditebe was not saying 1, 2, 3. You see, this is what is happening all the time. We come, we want to defend because someone so and so is my comrade. We are raising what actually did not sit well with us. But now Honorable Betty is coming back again to say we are emotionally and so forth. It is quite wrong. It's exactly what we are saying to Honorable Ditebe. He must desist from. So it's not good, and the Honorable Betty is not good what we are trying to do now. We want us to look stupid, and yet we are raising this thing. Majority of us are saying what Honorable Ditebe did not sit well. Even in KZN, there are a number of things that Honorable Ditebe did, and I've raised them with you, Chairperson, here in our meeting, to say even in Durban, when Chairperson left and asked him to step in as Chairperson of the committee at the time, he exchanged with certain his own comrades, people wearing a regala of the ANC Youth League. And we kept quiet in the meeting. And we raised that with you, Chairperson. And Honorable Betty is saying to us we must stop being emotional. It's not right. Honorable Betty and Honorable Tebe, they cannot control our feelings. We are condemning the bad things to be done, so that we will look as a committee in front of the officials. I thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable Gamede, you raised the issue on behalf of Honorable Abada.
Yes.
Who's a member of your party.
Yes.
Honorable Betty is raising an issue on behalf of Honorable Ditebe.
Yes.
You can't say she's not having the right to do that when you assumed the right to speak on behalf of your member. I mean, what happens on the right, you must allow it to happen on the left. I'm just saying that because...
But I cannot say you must not feel this way. That's what I'm saying. If she says you should have...
It is how she understood Honorable Ditebe. And I
Then
think
she could have
Honorable-
said, I understood this way, not to say people must not be emotional. I'm sorry to interject her, but if she says we must not be emotional, he is putting things in our head. He's saying, Tina, we are emotional, we can't think.
But you said so, Honorable Gamede, to say you couldn't speak at that time because you wanted to cool down, because you felt you are emotional, you wanted to cool down. Is you who said that. So I'm saying, like Honorable Mpiti said, we can't avoid differing. We're deployed by different parties. We're representing different constituencies. But what is important, let's respect. I was just interjecting on that one. Let me give Honorable Poole to come in.
Thank you, Chair. Let me put my 2 cents as well. We can see if we keep out with the status quo as it is, we will lose focus of why we are the committee for human settlements. We are from different parties, but elected to serve on this committee. So it means we have to make a mindset of what we represent as a party and what will we do as a committee as a whole. In order for us to succeed in this 7th parliament, I think the proposal made with the newest member on the group is that we have to respect each other and we have to define our role in the committee and we have to deem everything as important. And everyone's adhesion to what they perceive without, like member Frenchman has said, how she perceives it is how she will formulate the questions on the presentation. And we as members have to deem that as important. So in that way, we will actually have a good 7 administration committee as a human settlement, and that will be our success. But we have to respect each other. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Poole. I don't know whether Honorable Duterte, you want to say something?
Chairperson, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you, colleagues, once again. Chairperson, thank you for acceding to my request. I actually wrote it in there, on the chatbot, that I think we must listen to the core or the basis of Honorable Gamede's grievance. And so I've heard him. I've heard Honorable Abada. Chairperson, you know, it's very important that when we discuss in the committee, and members have already referred to their various party political affiliations, and let me just refer to mine. I come from an organization that has a document which is in its 70th year this year. It's called the Freedom Charter. That document is the framework of the constitution of our country. The constitution of our country has got 4 foundational values. The 4th one being an acceptance of a multi-party type of democracy with a national common voters role, where government is held accountable, where there is responsiveness, where there is openness. These words I have repeated in several meetings of the Portfolio Committee because there is no other logic to what our Constitution prescribes. Having said so, it's not every political party in Parliament that necessarily lives by the ethos, the spirit, and the letter of the preamble, for example, of the Constitution, with regards to issues of social justice, of equality, especially substantive equality. And I'm not here to judge other political parties. In terms of the law of our country, the Electoral Act, on the basis of which the Electoral Commission, colloquially known as the IEC, operates. In terms of the constitution of our country, these parties are welcome. And we all go out there into the hustings, into the so-called political market. My own party has lost its own majority, but I have not lost a sense of what it is that I represent. And I call it the best human values. When I said, I'm afraid I may embarrass you, actually, I had to do it, Chair. Honorable Poole seconded me, and other members seconded me in respect of the milestones we have recorded on that particular issue of the petitioners. We all felt the pain. I used the words. The pain was palpable, the anguish. And if, for example, while doing our work, and we have had an audience with a particular group of people, petitioners, etc., and in the second or third or fourth or fifth round, we recognize that the department, national department that is, whatever other entities of the department, the city of Tshwane, the provincial departments of the Northwest and Gauteng, have indeed done exactly what we had asked them to do, right? There is absolutely nothing wrong in thanking them. Not that we shouldn't, because they get paid, we shouldn't thank them. Look at it this way. The HOD of the Northwest, Department of Human Settlements, over and above what the military veterans quantum is, went out of her way to try and get closer to Mr. Khaswe, and this resulted in the 462,000 rand. Mr. Khaswe says 850,000, etc., is the value of the property that I want built for me from scratch. Honorable Abada makes bland statements, general statements, about whether these people probably don't trust us, this, that, and so forth. I personally said, in arriving at decisions in the portfolio committee, we must be data/evidence driven and we must be solution oriented. And I use the phrase, we must derive our truth from facts. What are the facts? The facts are everything that you've heard from the city of Tshwane, the provincial departments of human settlements of Gauteng and the Northwest, and our own national department. Nobody gainsaid, no one, not a single member gainsaid what the committee presented. Then you have a legislative/policy framework and a comment being made by a member. Remember, people come in and they switch on their AI, they record it, etc. I have seen quite a few reports where I would have been in a particular meeting sometimes of water and sanitation, and somebody would write something which would not be able to defend as a committee about what transpired in that particular committee. And I just want to say, Chairperson, I have no reason to disrespect Honorable Abada or any other member of the committee. But where I feel that as far as the legislative policy framework says this, and as a member, I take an oath as a member of parliament, I take an oath to uphold the rule of law, supremacy of the constitution and everything. And further, to apprise myself of areas where I may be ignorant. I subscribe to critical thinking as a tool. I use it as a toolkit to relate to others. Let me just slightly digress and come back to what I'm saying. When we were in KwaZulu-Natal, there was a facility of social development. Honorable Gamede insisted that we go there because there are people that live there. Indeed, there are people that live there. The area is run down, the fences, etc., the facility. But it was not within our mandate to go there. You ultimately relented
It's one of the issues that we argued about. Now, shouldn't we hold one another accountable? Especially when I say something and say Honorable Dlamini realizes that, but here this is what policy says, this is what the law says, but I make bland general statements which fly in the face of the solution that we are trying to evolve. We're not meeting this particular matter that we set about today. We were not engaging with it for the first time. I praised you in Tshwane, not for sentimental reasons or because you come from my party, but because I'm very acutely aware of the type of leadership that you provide, where you will weld us together as a team. And Chairperson, I'm not I'm not hubristic. I'm not arrogant. Yes, I have strong views on issues. Let me conclude, Chairperson. I said the following to Honorable Dlamini yesterday at a cafe. I said to her, Honorable Dlamini, whatever political parties we represent, when you and I leave the country and look at our country in retrospect, we must be able to say we have a country. That is why I premised my remarks with a very important instrument, the constitutional canvas. And what my party represents is based on all of that. Yes, there will be nuances here, misunderstandings here, etc., suspicions, etc. But Chairperson, if we were to leave that meeting with a feeling somehow, and I'm not saying officials should not answer for themselves, I personally hold these officials accountable. You heard me when I remarked about the CEO of Northwest Housing Corporation. I suspect, even though he's not a leader of the ANC, he's an ANC member. But in the interest of this institution, which is predicated, among others, on Section 1D of the Constitution and every other provision of the Constitution, I will defend what is in the best interest of our people. And Chairperson, I conclude. Whatever language I may speak, I am capable of speaking isiXhosa, isiZulu, Sepedi, Setswana, Sesotho. I'm learning other African languages in South Africa. I am very particular about the meaning of words. Words are bags or carriers of meaning. That's why there will be a denotative and connotative meaning. And explaining myself as I do does not mean I'm taking away from the intelligence or intellect of other members. I just want to say that I agree that if we have issues, we should raise those with you. But it seems to me that something occurred and therefore, people deposit into that bank. Oh no, he did this, he did that, etc. At any given time, I will explain myself to members of other parties, including my own, if I disagree with them. But it will not be out of disrespect. It will be on the basis that we arrive at a particular conclusion, as Honorable Mpiti says, on the basis of differences. In particular, these must be intellectually driven rather than just visceral or coming from inside of your stomach insofar as emotions are concerned. They must be intellectually driven and not viscerally driven. Chairperson, if you apologize, I'm explaining myself and you have heard me. I've not said I am sorry because I believe that I've been hugely misunderstood. And I did not, when I said what I said about you, it's what I believe even now. And I'm not going to, unfortunately, withdraw that part where because Honorable Gameda says, no, he's diplomatic. He's making it sound as if he's praising the chair. I mean, listen to that. Chair, I have my own way of thinking as and when I utter a word statement. I'm very, very careful. So I would like to respectfully say to members, I respect them. Honorable Abada, Honorable Gameda, Mpiti, Honorable Ketamabala, Dlamini, all of them. even my own members, yourself. But it will always be on the basis of what brings us here. That's the context. Thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable members, I see hands and I know we're getting into the bus, and I didn't want us to discuss this thing in the bus in front of other people. If there's a need to continue with the discussion, I would appeal that we put it for another time. But indeed, as I close, I'm saying there's a need to respect one another. There's a need to respect each other's views. We're coming from different political parties. And there were sometimes before we come here, we get mandates from our different political parties. We respect each other's views and we remain a united committee. And we must always be robust. Just hold on. Let me sit down in the bus. Just hold on. I wanted to sit on first so that I summarize properly. But like I'm saying, we're in the bus. We may not be able to take this discussion forward. But let me say, when we have issues with one another, let's approach each other directly so that we resolve it, so that it shouldn't build up. It shouldn't build up. But once we descend into our political party space, we'll be bound to defend one another because we are coming from the same party. But what I'm saying, let's understand each other. Let's close it that we must continue respecting each other, respecting each other's views. If we have to joke outside, let it be clear that it is a joke, and then we carry it, we take it from there. Let's close it at that, honorable members. Otherwise, we are in the bus, we may not be able to discuss in front of other people. Can you agree with me, honorable members?
Yes,
Agreed,
Chair.
Chair. Agreed, Chair.
Agree.
Because we respect you. Because we respect you, Chair, we agree.
Thank you, honorable members. Let's close it at that. Enjoy the rest of the day. We'll still take it up one-on-one with each other when we meet each other in the house and so on. But let's leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
If that was
Thank you, Chair.
let's call it a day. Let's close the meeting. Meeting stand adjourned. Thank you very much. Thanks, our support staff.
Thank you, Chair.
Members.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chairperson.